5 o'clock morning on the first flight. 3 o'clock I have to be there on airport. Okay. Yes. Huh? Okay. So last class we have seen the different classes of IP address and then the range of every class, and both the thing is very important for you to memorize. You have to memorize, no other way. Okay, if you want to learn IP address properly, and you should learn, because if you do any development, any other thing you want to make career also, if it is related to IT, you should know IP addressing very well. That will help you in troubleshooting to understand the concept. Even I have seen many of the software engineers, the developers, the QA engineers, they don't have proper knowledge of this IP address. What is this IP address? What are the subnets? So if you get a chance to learn it, you learn, and then you will see the advantage when you are going to work. Okay. So this first day class, whatever I have taught, memorize only these two things. In which class, how many network, how many host blocks are there, and class A, class B, C, D, whatever range is there. It will not take much more time, and very easier is you train some other person on this IP address. You find someone, your friend who is in this computer field, and tell him that I will train you on this WhatsApp, sorry, IP addressing, and train him on. So when you are going to train that person, he will have a lot of queries. He will not be able to understand. And to make him understand, when you are practicing 2 times, 3 times, automatically it will get memorized. That is the only way for this IP address. Today you will memorize, and if you don't use for 1 month, you will forget. That is the fact. The best thing is you have to find anyone, not from your batch, anyone if you see, and check, do you know IP address? Okay, come, I'll show you what exactly is. Like this you have to do if you want to memorize it. Why I memorized? Because I've trained a lot of students, so everything is in mind. So this is the only way. Come. Now, these are the types of IP address. Why we are reading this type of IP address? So previous class we learned to identify the class and whether these IP addresses are in same network or different network. Today we are going to learn which IP address I can use without asking my manager, without asking my friends or teacher, that for my own laptop, for my own network which I am designing, which IP address I can configure. So that independence we want. For that we have to understand this type of IP address. So first type of IP address is loopback IP address. So loopback IP address means the IP address which is used for testing and troubleshooting. Okay, so we are not using this IP address to configure on our desktop, laptop, server, camera, printer, not on these devices. This IP address is reserved for some different purpose. We cannot configure it as an identity of any devices. Okay, so here I have written a lot of range 127.0.0.0, 127.255.255.255. So how you will memorize the loopback IP address? Any IP address starts with 127. Okay, any IP address starts with 127, that is loopback IP address. That's it. Okay, in other words, if you have to check whether mic is working or not, what you will do? Mic check. Self testing is the same. I have configured IP address. My device is not communicating with other device. So I will check whether it is responding to its own query or not. So that is loop back. Loop back. Okay. So like that you can relate and memorize. The loopback is used for self-testing and troubleshooting. Which troubleshooting issue? When it is not communicating with others, then we will check whether it is responding to its own or not. Is it clear? So 127 only we have to memorize, not 00 and 255. Because if it starts with 127, after that whatever number comes, all the IP addresses are loopback IP address. Now coming to the next. So this IP address you can memorize with towel. So for everything there is a very easy way to memorize. So suppose when you are getting ready in your house, but your dress is not ready. So what is the solution? Hmm? Nowadays other options are also there. Okay. But generally towel is the solution. Until your dress is getting ironed or anything, you will be in the towel. But towel is what? Temporary dress. You cannot roam out of your room. Okay. Similarly, this link local IP address is a temporary IP address. So there are two ways to configure IP address on the devices. One, you log in, manually configure the IP address. That is called static IP address configuration or manual IP address configuration. So who does this? Network administrator. So if there are 1,000 computers, generally the companies have a lot of devices nowadays. And if you have to configure IP address on all the devices, it's a very big headache. You have to maintain which IP address you have given to whom. And if you have already assigned and next day one more person comes, I want to connect to Wi-Fi. So you will connect and then configure IP address. Where you have left, what is the next IP? All this record you have to maintain manually. So it's a very tedious job in the large network. So in the large network, we don't configure IP address manually. There we have the solution. We create a DHCP server. So what does this DHCP server does? Devices will request automatically. As soon as it get connected in the network, it will request automatically, I need one IP address. And who will respond? Server. DHCP server. Okay. So DHCP server has a complete range. We configure that, distribute from here to here. That's it. And it maintain list also, which IP address I have assigned to which device, which IP address is free. Accordingly, it will allocate. So there are two methods to configure IP address. One manually, another automatically using DHCP server. So by default, all the operating system or the devices are set to obtain IP automatically. By default setting is this, obtain IP automatically. That is the reason when you connect your laptop to Wi-Fi, do you configure IP? You don't configure. Because Wi-Fi device is configured as a DHCP also. So when it connects with the Wi-Fi, that Wi-Fi itself gives the IP address because that is acting as a DHCP server also. There is a feature in that. So there are two options. So if you have not configured manually and if DHCP server is also not there, then what this device will do? It need any IP address to sustain in the network. So this is a feature of TCP IP that it will take IP address from this range temporarily. Okay. And like how when you are wearing towel, you will not be comfortable. Correct? Every 2 minutes, 5 minutes, you will check. If you are doing ironing by your own, that's okay. If someone else is doing, then you will check whether my dress is ready, whether my dress is ready. Similarly, these devices also it will do the same. When it takes a PIPA IP address, frequently it will try to contact the DHCP server to get a valid IP address. Understood? So this PIPA is clear. So this IP address also we cannot configure on our devices because it is for different purpose. When the devices does not get IP automatically, then it takes this IP address. When it is connected to network, when it is not connected to network, disconnected, it will not take IP address. Any type of IP address. But when you connect and DHCP server is not there, then it will take from this range. So how to memorize this range? 169.254. Understood? So linked local or a PIPA range is 169.254. Loopback is 127. And this one is 169.254. If it is 253, means something different. Okay? Both should match 169.254. Clear? Any confusion? So now the question is what we can use. So third is the answer. Private IP address. Because we are very much concerned about free in the offer. What is free? So INA knows this mentality because they are also human beings. So they thought if they are going to give all the IP address on charge basis or subscription basis, no one will use frequently. So they have given free IP address, but this free IP address has some limitation. This free IP address we can use in our LAN, local area network only. In my own office, in my own house, in my own network. So INA has given free. So the range for class A, B, C. INA thought this private IP address size can be small, like our own small companies of almost 250 employees. There can be a company like who is having 60,000, 50,000 employees, and there can be a company like our Tata. There can be a company like Infosys who may have more than lakhs of employees or devices, or our Amazon, Google. So there the size can be 1 crore 67 lakh. So that's why based on that they have given. But generally people don't make a single network of that much size nowadays because of some broadcast issues. They make a small network by dividing. That is called subnetting. But INA on that time they have designed in this way that our private network can be a small, medium, large. So if it is large, class A. If it is medium, B. If it is small, class C. So large network will be rare. So they have given only one network ID. You see 10 to 10 complete. So this is for private network. Class B, they have given 16 network. 172.16. One network will be of that. Another network 172.17. Class B, two blocks network. So network value change, network will change. So like that they have given till 31. So total 16 private network of class B we can create free of cost. And when we talk about class C, 192, 168, which you will find everywhere in all the network because they are a small network, they are using the same. After that, network of 0, network of 1, 2, 3 and so on until 255 means a small network. How many we can create? 256 a small network because we have to count 0 also. So total 256 a small class C network is free, we can use and create. So any of these IP address, this range IP address, we can use without asking with anyone. Only we have to keep in mind 2-3 things. Network should be same when we are configuring our LAN. For example, if I have to configure IP address for 10 devices, so how we will configure? Suppose 192, 168, I have taken 100 as a network ID. Then 1, then next device will be 168, 100.2, 3, 4, 5. You don't like starting from 1, start from 100 or 101, 102 like this. Whatever you want. You are free. Understood? So these private networks we use in our own network, private network to configure. Now, this private IP address is used for LAN. It is free of cost, but not routable in internet. Means you cannot use this IP address to connect internet. Understood? then anyone like me can prove you wrong. How they'll prove you wrong? Wi-Fi is there, internet is there, and check my IP address. They will say you directly. As per your theory, with this IP address we cannot connect to internet. But in my Wi-Fi, this is the same private IP, and I am able to connect to internet. You see. So according to this theory is wrong. Anyone can prove you. What I said. With this IP, you cannot connect to internet as per the concept. So when you go to interviewer, if they want to ask this type of question, generally they don't go in this much depth. If they ask you and just to check your confidence, they'll say you see, this is my private IP and I'm able to access internet. So they will ask this type of question only when they know you have done CCNA. Because in CCNA we learned these all things what's happening in the background of this one device to till the internet connectivity. On Linux level, they will not ask, but definitely if you say I have done CCNA, they will ask this question. So what is the answer here? This is my laptop using private IP. This is connected to a small device which is my Wi-Fi, correct? And this Wi-Fi is further connected to internet. Okay. So Wi-Fi will not connect with the cable, just here for the connection I am showing, and it is connected further with internet. So what happened exactly? So here, as you have seen, 192.168.1.80 is the IP, correct? And for this device, what is the IP? I will show you also. See, DHCP server is 1.1, means Wi-Fi IP address is 1.1, 192.168.1.1. So this is the IP on this port, LAN port of the Wi-Fi. In Wi-Fi there will be two ports, LAN and WAN. So LAN connection is there. This Wi-Fi device, this port which is connecting to the WAN, so you will see there will be one fiber cable on all. So that WAN port will have the public IP address, not private IP address. Inside, if you see the configuration, just for example, 202.100.10.9. Suppose this is the public IP address, not private one. So it will be where? On WAN port. In configuration, there will be LAN and WAN. So what happens? There is a one technology called NAT, Network Address Translation. So whenever any request comes from here, using the NAT technology, it gets translated in this IP address. So when your request comes from your device and it reaches to the Wi-Fi, it will change the source IP address. So as of now it is 1.80. But when it goes out of the Wi-Fi box, it will be 202.100.10.9. Understood? That's why we say it a network address translation. Private IP is translated to public IP, and that is the reason you are able to access internet. Because one translator is in between, which is translating this IP. Then you will think why we don't directly configure IP, this private IP on our device. The reason is money. Public IP is chargeable. If I have 1,000 users, I have to buy 1,000 public IP. It will be very costly. So instead, we are using this technology to save the cost. Is it clear? Like in your house, now you have money, I know very well. So earlier, think about 10 years back. How many of you have mobile phone in your house individually? You don't have. One landline connection is there. Anyone has to call has to use the same phone. And if call comes also on the same. Why? Charge. So same concept applies here also. If you check here, there is a one website. What is my IP? My IP is 192.168.1.80. But when you check here on the internet, what IP it is showing, you see, this is IP address of my laptop when it goes outside. Understood? Clear? Which public IP it is getting translated? It is getting translated in this IP outside over the internet. My device is recognized with this IP address. Is it clear? So now you understood that with private IP we cannot access internet. Concept is clear? Any confusion? So you have to memorize this also. So here the easiest way, class A starts with 10, class B 172.16 to 31. Class C very simple, 192, 168. After that, whatever it is, private IP. And see, public IP, it is more simple than private IP. All the IP addresses are public except loopback, link local, and private. So whatever range is defined in these all three, except those, rest all is public IP address. And public IP address is chargeable, and we cannot use public IP by our own. We have to contact ISP, because ISP maintain the register. I have assigned which public IP address to whom. Is it clear? So let me take a small test to identify private and public IP. Okay. Tell me, which IP address it is out of four? Public? Which IP address it is? Sure. Now, you see, all memorized. Clear? So public IP we take from ISP and it's chargeable. Okay? After this, the next and the last concept related to the basics of IP address, not to the IP address, basics of IP address is how to identify any valid and invalid IP address. Okay? So any IP address, if it starts with 0, it is invalid. The reason behind that is 0.0.0 means when we convert it into binary, everything will be 0. Correct? Like this: 0, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when we convert it into decimal, it will be like this, right? So when all bits, listen carefully, all bits means all 32 bits of any IP address is 0, means it represents default network ID. Like who is human being here? No one. If I say today we have party for human being, who will come? Hmm? So who is human being? Who will come? All will come, whether they are from my batch, boys, girls, from other batch, even from the outside also. When it is written human beings are invited, everyone will come. They are from which nationality, that doesn't matter. Means we are representing everyone. Similarly, when we have to represent any IP address, private, public, link, local, class A, class B, class D, whatever it is, that doesn't matter. So when we have to represent the word any IP address, we use 0.0.0. This is called default network ID. Means network ID for all. And what is the use of any network ID? Network ID is always used for only two purposes. One for routing and another is for security rules or policy. I have to show you the path. Routing means route, defining the path. So if I have to show you path, if you have to go anywhere from this room, this is the only gate. This is the only interface. So I'm using the word any. I don't know after that what other things are there. It's only one single road. So I will use any word there. Then I will use 0.0.0 via this. Means any network you can go via this route. That is the default routing. Another thing, rules. If you, sorry, anyone is trying, or I will say your computer IP address, for example, 192.168.100.10 is your laptop IP. Okay, it's not written in the same format, just I am giving example. Deny. What deny? HTTP and HTTPS traffic. Destination. I don't know the Google, Facebook, YouTube IP address. I don't know the destination. So I will say this IP address is trying to access HTTP, HTTPS type of application for any destination. Deny. So in this type of things, we use this network ID. Usage is clear. Any confusion network ID? So network ID is used for two purposes. When we have to apply any security rules or when we have to define the path for the entire network, we use network ID. Next is broadcast ID. So if it is written 0.0.0, directly we will say it is a default network ID. Now, if we say all bits of IP address is 1, means 1.1.1, correct? Huh? Yes or no? Read that line carefully once again. What it is written? All bits means all 32 bits. When you convert this one in binary, what it will be? Correct? So all bits are 1. Hmm? So don't get confused. So 1.1.1 means this one in binary. So all bits are not 1. So when we say all bits 1, means it should be like this. Understood? So this is all bits 1, all 32 bits. So when we convert it into decimal, how much it will be? 255, 255, 255, 255. So this is called all bits 1, not 1.1.1. Okay. So this is called default broadcast ID. So default broadcast when we do the broadcast. So broadcast ID is always used as a destination IP. Okay. So broadcast ID will be used as a destination IP and it is used for only one purpose. If system have any query or update, that's it. It has to send update to all broadcast. If it has to ask anything, query, broadcast. So which things does this system automatically does this broadcast. Or when there is any festival, you are also doing the broadcast. In WhatsApp, you go, there is an option, you will send to all your contacts, same message. That is what? Broadcast. So this default broadcast ID means you don't know which network IDs are here. In that case, it is default broadcast. So destination IP will be 255, 255, 255. Now, after this, there is a two more concepts. If all host bit, you see that statement is changing. Earlier, all bits of IP address means all 32 bit. Now we are saying only host bit. So this will vary class to class. Like class C, 24 host bits are there. Class B 16, class C 8. So it will vary. So if all host bits are 0 of any IP address, it is network ID for that IP address. Understood? So it is of class C. Class C is having one block host and all bits are 0. So it is network ID. For which network? 192.168.10. For this it is a network ID. And the same purpose will be to show the root for this devices who is having the IP 192.168.10 and after that any number. Any rule we apply that will apply on that. And broadcast IP, all host bits are 1 means 255. So broadcast IP means if I send a message on this IP address, it will go to all the devices which IP address starts with 192.168.10, not to any other device. Understood? So this is for a specific network. In that case, host bits we have to consider, not all. Okay. Now, when we talk about valid and invalid IP address, which IP address are invalid? 127, 169.254, 0.0.0.0, 255.255.255.255 and all host bit 0 and all host bit 1. Understood? So this much you have to keep in mind. So if these things matches, we will say it is invalid to use to configure on our devices. Understood? And after this comes public and private, from where we have to take a decision which one I have to use. Is it clear? So if any IP address matches with these things, we say it is a invalid IP address. Any confusion? So just one small test. It is a valid IP address or invalid IP address? Hmm? Valid or invalid? You have paid fees for your own, na? Or for them only? That they will learn, I will be happy that they learn IP address. Why it is valid? Huh? It's public, that's why it's valid. What I said, first you have to identify valid, invalid. Then in the valid, we have to segregate it is a private or public. So on which ground you have said it is valid? Tell me. Huh? It is not in the top list. This is also not in the top list, so it should be valid. Use your brain. First, always I told you to identify the class of IP address. So it belongs to which class? Class A. Huh? Class B. How many network? Two network. So how many hosts? So all host bits are 0 or 1. Valid or invalid? Understood how you have to identify? This is a parameter. First, this 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you have seen. If matches directly, we say we don't need to check. But for parameter 5 and 6, we have to first cross check. Understood? Valid or invalid? Huh? Why it is invalid? It belongs to which class? A, C, X, Y, Z also you start. There was a gap of 4 days and then also you have not memorized things. It is of class B. So the remaining is host bit. Valid, invalid. For invalid, all host bit, not mixture. All should be 0 or all should be 1. If it is mixed, then it is valid. Understood? And then later you will identify it is a private, public. That is different. Is it clear? So 1 week there is a gap again, 5 days. So memorize these all things. And if you find any doubt, then you can come. Okay. Now the next is subnet mask. So what exactly is a subnet mask? As you also know about yourself that you all are very intelligent and you know about your intelligence, computer is not that much intelligent because they know human being can change things in a minute. What it thinks, in that way computer cannot think. There are different people, and to ask the question, na, if someone is asking you question, some question is very straightforward, some question is something tricky, so you want to repeat what you said, what do you mean, like that we ask. Similarly, computer also get confused. As per the rule, just by seeing the first block value, it can identify it is class A, B, C. But as a human, we have mixed everything. So we have done slicing, subnetting. We have changed the bits order in the subnetting. When we do subnetting, like here if you see our house owner, ideally a room should be this much big and this one will be 1 BHK or 2 BHK. Just making things small. So similarly, student, people also do the same. One network class C should be of 254 IP addresses generally. But to control the broadcast, what they will do? They will divide in four small subnets. They will divide in eight small subnets. So there will be less number of IP address in every network, but they will divide it. There is a different purpose for security reason and all we are doing it. So when we divide any network, we adjust the network bits. So we convert host bit into network bit. Now you see the problem. Computer knows in class C there should be 24-bit network, and for your own benefit what you have done, you have changed it to 28-bit network. Like this much should be house, you have given partition. So similarly you have changed. So computer will get confused. You are talking about which network? The default one or the subnetted one when you give the IP? This belongs to which type of network? So that is the reason we have to give subnet mask. So subnet mask represent in any IP address how many bits are network and how many bits are host. Okay. So 1 is used to represent network bit and 0 is used to represent host bit. Is it clear? So here you see this belongs to class C. So 3 blocks network 1111 and 1 block host 000. So when we convert it into decimal, it becomes 255. That is the reason we are giving subnet mask like this. Is it clear? Class B, 2 block network. So instead of converting like this, we directly write 255.255.0.0. Only when that IP address is not subnetted. Okay, so if you have not done subnetting, you are using the default one, then we can use directly this type of subnet mask. But when we do subnetting, then there is, in the calculation itself you will get the subnet mask. What you have to give for IP addresses. Next is CIDR, classless inter-domain routing. So in our router, on our paper, when do the network designing, we cannot write subnet mask everywhere. So instead what we do, we put slash and give how many bits are network. That number is called CIDR, classless inter-domain routing. Okay. So it is the shortest form of representation which represent number of network bit only of any IP address. And we write just after the IP address slash network bits. Clear? So this is used in two places. One when we are labeling the network diagram, another in the router routing table, where it is mentioned this network we have to go via which route. So network and then subnet mask. Instead of subnet mask we give there CIDR. Reason is in router the memory is very less. We don't have big hard disk there to store this information. So we reduce it. Now there are two type of people in the house: obedient, non-obedient. Okay, characterless and characterful as per the society. So if you follow all the rules of the society, you are characterful person. But just little bit change, society will say you characterless. So similarly here also, if all bits of any IP address is arranged as per the class it belongs to, that is classful IP address, and if it does not belongs means classless IP address. And when it will not belongs, when we do subnetting. Okay. So generally you see class C 24-bit network, classful. Class B 16. Okay. Classless you see 27-bit network. In which class we have? A, B, C, D. We don't have. So it becomes classless. Is it clear? Any confusion? So this much we have in IP address. Revise, listen this recorded session properly, and next class we will do managing these networks. Okay. When I see interest